All right, got my sketch all drawn out of my watercolor block. I'm about ready to go. I'm gonna start wetting it all, start the watercolor process. I just want to point out a couple things. I did change a couple things. As I sat here and looked across at my setting here, I noticed that these trees actually go way up over the line of the mountain. So they actually, from they're all the way in the front, but they actually go all the way up. And that's actually a good thing about drawing plein air or paint or sketching outside. You see the size of things a lot better. My camera, I bet, would shrink this down a bit. But out of here looking at it, I can really see how tall these trees are. And I'm going to bring this one up over all those planes behind it. So I think that'll work well. All right. Is my brush nice and wet? I'm using a Kolinsky Sable 14, number 14 round today. It's my brush of choice. I use it all the time. I use about 90% of the time when I'm painting. So I like to just get everything nice and wet. Except my two focal points. We're sitting out on a trail here, so there's lots of people behind us. Lots of dogs. Very excited dog. So I'm going to leave that little place, or my little glacier up there, I'm going to leave it light. And I'm just wetting in between everything, just getting everything nice and wet. Looking at my value sketch, the two areas that were my lightest lights are that glacier and the barn. So I'm going to leave those dry for now. I'll come back in later and paint around them a little bit more, but for now I'm just kind of going in between my pencil lines, just adding a little bit of water here and there, nice and light there. Across here, that's going to be wet. Here's some wets. Here I'm going to do it fairly rough because I do want some whites, some of those rocks sitting on the dike over there. I just want to keep some of them white. My water coming out here is going to be a little bit darker, and it's going to be a little bit lighter here in the middle. I just kind of go around. I dry my brush a little bit on my towel, come through, just pull out some big puddles of water. If you bring your watercolor up and look at it eye level, you can see exactly what's wet and what's not. If you have any big puddles, I'm just kind of pulling those off a little bit. This isn't going to be my masterpiece today. I'm just doing a fun colored painting. I'm just doing a watercolor out to plein air. I just want to have fun with it. I'm not going to use a very complicated palette. I'm just going to use a red, blue, and a yellow. I've squeezed out a nice bright yellow, a nice bright red, and a nice bright blue. This is a cerulean blue. This is an alkylid yellow, and this is a permanent crimson, all from TriArt. I really enjoy their paints. They're kind of fun to paint with. They're a little bit different than the Daniel Smith. They're just a little bit heavier, a little bit more organic, I think. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I'm going to start up my sky. A little bit of cerulean blue, nice and light. I like to get my corners, a little color in them. A little bit more down the middle maybe. Now, the only place I really need to worry about right now is this glacier. I'll kind of go around it as well so it really stands out. I can go right over my mountains. I'm going to kind of go roughly over them though, because then I can leave little bits of snow sitting out there as well. Come down a bit, down to my trees. I'm going to come back in darker and do those a little bit darker next time, next wash. I just want to come around. I want to leave little bits of white still up there. Some of those have some of that little bit of snow on them. Dry brush. Just going to put just a few of those. Just a bit of the earth showing through, some rocks showing through up there in those peaks. All right. As I come down, things get a little bit greener. It's going to start mixing a little bit of yellow into my blue to make a green. And it's going to get a little bit greener. It's very springy, a little bit more yellow. Oops. Spread that out. Tall trees. Just going to let things run and let the watercolors do their thing. Don't try to corral them too much, just kind of guide them a little bit. Let them run and try not to go back over them too much. Don't labor on them too much. Just kind of put your color down, move on. That tree goes up above the horizon line, or sorry, above the mountain line there. Look at that nice yellow coming in. Nice and green. Might as well leave some of those little dry patches I've got going there. Who knows what that'll be? I can turn that into all sorts of things next round. Just want to get tighter up to next to my barn. Now the grass in front of me is actually a little bit darker green. Mix up a darker green. It's going to make this a little bit darker green up closer. Let it bleed down into that bank a little bit. That's my brush. Now those rocks are all sorts of different colors, but they're kind of grays. So I'm just going to mix up my 3 colors equally. A little blue, a little yellow, and a little red, just to get a neutral color. A little more water. I can turn this a little more yellow, a little more greenish. Kind of green. Oh, a neutral color. I just want a neutral color kind of through some of these rocks here. It's got all 3 colors in it. Let that all run together. Leave some of those whites. Some areas I'm going to grab a little bit more of this bright yellow, and some of this just has some nice bright yellows in it as well, just to bring that yellow down a little bit. Nice mossy areas. Okay, in the foreground here, I'm going to use a little bit of my cerulean, a little bit of my, make kind of a light purplish color here.
Louder.
Float that in a little bit. Let that all run. Run where it's going to run. Grab some more. Oops. More of that red. A little more purple. I like just a little. Grades it up a little bit. I've got this area here. I just kind of want to lead the eye over to the barn a little bit. Dry my brush a little bit. I'm just going to pull some of this out. Still the surface of the water. Dry brushing on it. Pull some of that out into that dry area. Some sparkles on the water. I'm going to grab some of this color and I'm just going to do some reflections in here as well. Well, that's real watery and wet. I think that's about all I'm going to do for my first wash. Everything's pretty much occupied. All the shapes are occupied. I don't want to overwork it too much. I'm going to let that all dry. I'm actually going to set it out in the sunshine. I'll let that dry nice, and then I'll come back in and I'll start in on my second wash.